I've seen teams get 12 hits and score 2 runs, right? A hitting coach would be like, well, we got 12 hits in 7 innings. That's pretty good. This is like an offensive guy. It's like, I'd rather have 2 hits and 12 runs than 12 hits and 2 runs.
Caleb Lang, welcome to the podcast, man. Your title was offensive coordinator.
You need to come in, and I don't really care like what you do. You can have complete control over the offense, but we need it at first or second in the conference. Or that was kind of what I was tasked with. It's about scoring runs. We approached it from relationship standpoint and getting to know everybody and their strengths and weaknesses, and then also putting them in positions to be good.
It looked like you guys were hitting at least 6 home runs a game. And
7 runs is like doing ourselves a disservice. Let's not set ourselves up for like 7 runs a game or 9 runs a game. It was, let's set ourselves up to just have quality at bats and put ourselves in situations to score runs.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We got a super exciting episode today. We sit down with former coach of mine, but also one of the better baseball minds I know, Caleb Lang. He has a ton of experience coaching many different levels in college, and he's now the head coach of Clarion University in the PSAC Conference, Division II. So we get to sit down and talk to him about his baseball journey and kind of how he's been able to build one of the best offenses in the country. But before we get into the video, I want to ask you, please like and subscribe to the channel. Still trying to bring content to you guys every single week, just to help on the coaching side, the development side, and be a great resource for everyone that follows the channel. So again, please subscribe to the channel. Let's see the episode with Caleb. Caleb Lang, welcome to the podcast, man. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I want to start off real quick. We're going to talk a lot about just kind of your philosophy on the coaching side, but I want you to talk a little bit about just your baseball background, whether it's playing career and then kind of your coaching journey to lead where you are now. And then we'll kind of dive a lot into the coaching thing and kind of see where the conversation goes.
Yeah, for sure. So grew up Western New York, small high school, graduated with about 80. We didn't have, a great baseball program or anything like that. And it was, man, I want to play college baseball. It's like just anywhere that gives me an opportunity, right? So went over to Brockport for a tryout for Division III. Coach wasn't interested. So I ended up going to a Division III in Pennsylvania called Clarion University. And that was my only offer out of high school. So no JUCO offers, no, Division I, Division II, one Division III that said, hey, you want to come play baseball? And I actually went there as a pitcher. So showed up, threw a little bit. I was like, Coach, I enjoy hitting also. Do you mind if I take some swings? And he's like, yeah, sure. So I ended up 2-weighing all fall. And then that year I hit, I think, 444 in the spring and broke some school records and things like that. So my pitching career ended pretty quickly. I was also a terrible infielder, so I moved to the outfield. Just kind of found my strengths, which was hit and be an athlete. So did that for 4 years. That was a blast, playing Division III baseball. And then after school, same as most guys, it's like, hey, I'm going to try to play pro ball and keep playing baseball as long as possible, because why not? So that was a fun summer. And then got a chance to be a graduate assistant in Boston at another Division III. Did that for a couple of years and realized if I can't play, I'd like to coach. So coaching kind of was taken off at that time. As probably a lot of coaches know, it's hard to find full-time work in the college industry. So coached in the Northwoods League, was able to coach like 10 to 12 draft picks out there, which was fun, just being around high level talent for the first time. There's a lot of good talent in Division III, but in the Northwoods League, every single night you're seeing top 5 rounders. So it's a little bit different. And at that time, got a part-time job down at Flagler, which is Division II. So that was kind of my first taste of anything besides Division III baseball. Was down there. And then everybody knows what happened in that year with COVID. So shut everything down. And it was like, all right, here we go again. Like, I got to try to find something. And that's where I got an opportunity to be a full-time college coach for the first time at age 25. And that was at Concordia University in Nebraska, which is at NAIA. And that's a different situation, different world. Did that for 3 years. And then my wife and I were able to take this head coaching job at a Division II in the PSAC, which is one of the better Division II conferences in the country, and get back closer to home. So that's kind of my 3-minute synopsis of my career journey. Not that entertaining, but that's how I got here. So.
No, I love it. Yeah, I remember. For those that don't know, I actually played for Caleb in the NYCBL, so that's how we got to know each other. But I always thought that his baseball journey, playing career, was just the funniest story ever. Just because there's just guys that fall through the cracks that just need an opportunity, and when they do, they just go crazy. But
for sure.
But yeah, so I want to talk a lot about to start just about your time at Concordia. Like you said, it was your first full-time gig. You had your title was offensive coordinator. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about that. I know, like, you hear people like Donnie Eckert, like they kind of give themselves that role in the big leagues. But I want you to talk about like what your role was, and then we're gonna kind of dive into like how you guys were one of the best offenses in the country.
Yeah. So Ryan Dupick is the head coach over there, and they were good before I got there. So it was not like I got there and they got good or anything like that. He's done a great job. They went to the national tournament in 2019. They won their conference, and they had really, really good pitching. And Bryce Berg was their hitting coach at that time, and he's now the minor league hitting coordinator for the entire Twins organization. So they had really good, offensive philosophy already in place. And Coach Dupick was, during the COVID year, it was the most extensive interview process I think anybody's ever conducted. Like, because he had so much more time, I remember we did like 4 2-hour Zoom calls. And it was like on a weekly basis. We were talking about everything from, the kinetic chain to just overall philosophy, diving deeper into, the psychological side and just kind of everything. And we meshed really well. So he wanted to bring someone in that could compete, and he correlated OPS with runs, which was similar to what I like to do. And he was like, hey, our OPS is here in conference, like 3rd or 4th. Our ERA and our WHIP is 1st or 2nd every year. You need to come in, and I don't really care like what you do. You can have complete control over the offense, but we need it at 1st or 2nd in the conference, our OPS. And so that was kind of what I was tasked with, obviously recruiting as well. But when I think about, the offense, it's about scoring runs. So like I've seen teams get 12 hits and score 2 runs, right? Hitting coach would be like, well, we got 12 hits in 7 innings. That's pretty good. Me as like an offensive guy, it's like I'd rather have 2 hits and 12 runs than 12 hits and 2 runs. I don't care really how we generate the offense. But hitting is just one aspect of scoring runs. So
yeah, no, that's awesome. Because I know, like, for me, kind of following your guys' team from afar, it looked like you guys were hitting at least 6 home runs a game and just putting up crazy offense. And I mean, obviously, like you said, you had talent going in there. So when you came in and knew you had to do that, like, what was the first thing you did? Did you like have a specific area you knew you needed to attack? Was it a little bit trial and error? Like, what was the process there in terms of like your plan to try to get you guys to 1st, 2nd in the conference?
Yeah. I look back, and there's a lot of things where I feel like I made mistakes in a lot of ways, and we could have accelerated it even more. But I think one thing that we did well was we approached it from a relationship standpoint and a getting to know everybody and their strengths and weaknesses and the things that they needed to improve on, and then also putting them in positions to be good. So I think the first month I remember being there, it was mostly like, here's a somewhat generic practice plan. It's not that specific yet. And I need to watch you guys play and see what you're good at, understand what play style you have, how you can contribute to the offense, so that when we get into the specifics and we're talking about, whether you got to work on timing or barrel accuracy, or we just got to get your metrics up, or, pitch selection, we're tracking all of the pitches that you swing at, what pitches you're doing damage on and what zones, so that when we get to the spring, we kind of have your complete package. and we can put you in situations to be successful. So I think that was the one thing that we did well early, and we kind of just explored on that, and then we had good players. Like, Joey Gerbansky was a freshman my first year there, and he came in, and we saw him in the fall, and he was just this kid that was 6'2", 250 from North Dakota, who had a couple of NAIA offers, and his athleticism and ability to hit the ball out of the park. I mean, he hit 88 home runs in his career in a true 4 years. It's like, it's really hard. Those guys, it's like, you just don't mess them up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, help them in little ways, but at the end of the day, like, don't screw that up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And then, like, I guess overall, like, obviously the individual perspective, understanding guys' strengths and weaknesses is important. From like a team perspective, did you have any like main like goals, whether it was in game or like I guess like a team mission that you shifted or came up with in terms of like you said, scoring runs, not necessarily like getting a bunch of hits?
Yeah, originally, in our first year, it was pretty simple. It was, we want to score a run an inning overall. So like in 7-inning games, if we score 7 runs, we're winning games. And in 9-inning games, if we score 9 runs, we're winning games. And so within that, it was like, that shifted very quickly when I realized how good we were.
Yeah.
Because it was like 7 runs is like doing ourselves a disservice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the previous school record before 2019 for homers in a season was 40. And that was set in 2019. So you can see the trajectory. After COVID year in 2020, we came back in 2021 and hit 90.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? So it was just like, these kids are not on the same level as, the kids in the past. And we were deep. We had a kid that was hitting 8-hole for us that hit 13 home runs. You know what I mean? So it was more like, let's not set ourselves up for like 7 runs a game or 9 runs a game. It was, let's set ourselves up to just have quality at bats and put ourselves in situations to score runs, because we're putting up like 12, 15, 20 on some days. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it shifted.
Yeah, for sure. I want to talk real quick about, you talked about kind of tracking, swing decisions, stuff like that. Is that something you had done in the past or something you started doing there? Or is there someone that you kind of got that idea from?
Yeah. So, in grad school, it was just me and the head coach, and we didn't really have a pitching guy really. So it was like, hey, the head coach is like, I'll run the pitching, you run the offense. And I was not ready for that in any means. I was a learner, and I was thankfully like good in college, but everybody knows that doesn't translate to helping other people be good.
Yeah.
So I realized that, it takes a lot of hard work, and I was just like throwing drills at the wall and seeing what worked.
Yeah.
And it was like, just like an experimental lab. We had one cage in the basement, some wrestling mats down there. And I would just break guys up into groups and be like, hey, do you like this? Do you not like this? Is this working? Is this not working? And it was really like 2 years of research. So I feel bad for those kids because they were like guinea pigs in a way. But they embraced it and learned with us. And I think that's where we started realizing, like, hey, we got to put guys in positions to be successful. And what does that look like? Okay. Like, this guy's on time, but he's still like not being good. Why? Well, he's swinging at pitches down and away, and he can't hit anything in the lower third of the zone. So like, let's just have him, even if he swings at fastballs up, who cares? He covers it. So like, let's just raise the zone a little bit. And then that kind of evolved into, let's track every single pitch and start to see, kind of like on MLB The Show, like, this is his hot zone and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work. It's not complicated. It just takes a lot of work.
Yeah. So it's kind of just like getting consistent, doing the boring work to kind of get that. Yeah, no, because that's something I look back, and especially like on my career, I feel like I was strictly like skill focused, I guess, if that makes sense. Like, I was so focused on the swing, and like in terms of being productive, I was like, if my swing's in a good place, like, I'll be fine. And I'm curious to know, like, in terms of like hot zones, but also like swing decisions, like if there was specific counts even that I just like watch good pitches go by. Like if I like for me as a coach, like I don't do a lot of coaching. Obviously, I have travel teams, but like my biggest pet peeve is always just like one strike fastballs. Like I hate when kids just watch one strike fastballs because it's not perfect, and I'm like, if it's a fastball in the zone, let it eat. Like, um,
Yeah.
so like I always like wonder. I wish I could track that and have that information, just more so because I'm a nerd. But
Sure.
I feel like that is important because like you can only develop so much or have so much skill. Like you still have to get in the box and compete and make sure that you're smart in how you're executing the box. So I was always curious about that because I know even on Twitter and stuff you talk a lot about like swing decisions. Um,
Yeah.
did you come up with like a spreadsheet that you did this, or was there like a software that you used to track pitches?
Yeah, there's a software. John Sheen at Millersville actually created the Hitting Approach app, and
Okay,
we use that a lot. We kind of evolved it a little bit more, and now he's a competitor of mine, but he's a good dude. But we kind of evolved, and that's how we would track all of our like our in game and our scrimmage data. Um, and then we also have kids like our leadoff guy. I think he ended up with like 350 hits in his career or something like that, which is just absurd.
insane. Yeah,
He's just got unbelievable barrel accuracy. Like anything he swings at, he puts in play. So guys like that, we have a slightly a different approach than for like our two hole who swings and misses a lot more, and he can cover a very specific area. And like in that area, you're never getting them out, and out of that area, like there's no point in swinging. So it really depends guy to guy and like how much they can cover consistently and do damage. And then obviously like we're either expanding or shrinking the zone based on count. That's a whole nother conversation with two strike approach and things like that. But yeah, it's a very individual basis.
gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah.
And then this is a question I want to ask too, last thing, and then we'll kind of move on to what you're doing at Clarion now. But
Yeah.
like you talk about the home runs, was that something that was like the focus? Because I know a lot of times, like I talk to a lot of people that are old school, new school, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
and like I hear people like, oh, you just want guys to hit the ball out of the ballpark. I don't necessarily think about that. Like I
Yeah.
know even when I had a tournament and we played on smaller fields and we hit like 23 home runs in the weekend or something like that.
Yeah.
And um, like for our team, like once we started hitting a bunch of home runs, we like the next day we like were popping everything up and like popping up to the infield. And I basically was telling my guys like we weren't hitting home runs because we were trying to hit home runs. You guys were like trying to get good swings off on good pitches, and the home runs happen because you're backspinning balls. So like get back,
Right.
and then when guys like refocus. Anyway, it's a long way of saying like, was the focus like as a team like we need to slug more and like get the ball out of the ballpark, or was it more like kind of individual focused and stuff? Or there's certain guys where you're like
Yeah.
you should be hitting a bunch of home runs?
Yeah. It was very individual focused, but it wasn't like, hey, we need. It evolved again. So in 2021, it was, what are you good at? Can you get on base and steal bags, or can you hit extra base hits? It was kind of very simple with those two things. And we never, early on, especially when all of our sluggers were freshman, sophomore, it was let's get a pitch that we can do damage on and hit it hard.
Yeah.
And like wherever it goes, and just be athletic within that. Have good intent and stuff like that. And Grabansky, who hit 88 home runs and is all-time NAIA home run record holder, he's still like he would have a 3 home run game and he'd show up the next day and be using weighted backside ground balls as first round.
Yeah.
Like he stuck to his process and his approach and just try to find a good pitch that was within his zones and hit it hard. And like, with launch angles and stuff like that, do we do some of that stuff based on like if we got a sinker ball pitcher, do we try to get it off the ground a little bit and things like that? Sure. But, for the most part, it's what pitches can we do damage on and hit hard, and let's hit them hard.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, as it kind of evolved in like this past year in 2023, when we hit 117 home runs, there were certain days where we knew we were better and we showed up and the wind was blowing out in the Midwest at 20. And it was like, we are not hitting a ground ball today.
Yeah.
Like, we're just not. Like, very rarely we did that. And our guys were good enough to execute that plan. But for the most part, it's like find a pitch that you can do damage and hit hard and hit it hard, So
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's cool. Because I feel like a lot of times the things I see with coaches, and I don't blame them because, like, again, I don't have a ton of, like, actual, like, on-field coaching experience.
yeah,
But it's like they have, like, their one philosophy each year or, like, and they stick to it every game. Now, I don't think that's a bad thing or a wrong idea,
yeah,
but I feel like there's situations where, like, you just have a different team. Like, I've seen college teams, like,
yep,
that. So, like, I'll talk about so I'm not talking about anyone else. I'll talk about my situation at Houghton. Like,
yep,
my freshman and sophomore year, our offense mashed. Like, if I got on base, I was scoring. I think I led the conference in runs, and the next guy was like 20 runs below me. Just because,
yep,
not because of me, it's because our 3, 4, 5, 6 hitters just mashed. So, like, our team that year, we never had to worry about, like, getting runs across or, like, playing small ball to make sure. Like, we were better off, like, letting me, who can run, steal, even, like, steal third than having, like, our 2 or 3 hitter try to bump me over to third base. Like, we'd be better
sure,
off letting them drive me. My junior year, we graduated everybody, and, like, I was still hitting leadoff, but, like, was probably the best hitter. But, like, the only way to score was stealing 2 bags and squeezing me. Like, obviously,
right,
we just had a younger team and, like, guys that didn't have as much experience, so they were kind of learning and growing. We just didn't have the big boppers. We had a lot more speed contact guys. So, like, I see a lot of coaches where it's like, well, we're gonna bunt every time a guy's on first base, regardless of the team. I don't care if the 3 hitter has 2 home runs in the game. And I feel like you need a little bit more, like, fluidity of, like, let's read the situation, have some feel. Like, if this guy's got 2 bombs in this weekend, like, I'm not gonna have this dude bunt. Like, he should be trying to drive the ball, hit the ball hard, like you said. Did you feel like the
yeah.
philosophy changed year to year, or you can talk about that? Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, if we had a guy on the mound, wind blowing in, we had our ace on the mound, like it would change. We got to score first. I don't care. Like we'll play small ball, we'll do whatever we got to do. 3 runs is winning this ball game.
Yeah.
Once we get to 3, then we'll play for a big inning. And we stole 98 bags and broke the school record in stolen bases too. So it's not like we just hit homers and didn't do anything.
Yeah.
We had a kid that stole 36 bags, a kid that stole 22, and a kid that stole 14. So like those 3 guys, that's what they're good at. That's like me asking the guys that hit home runs to bunt. I'm not going to do that very much. And for those guys, it's like, let's get on base and let's run.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you do have to have the ability, and we see it in postseason baseball all the time. You have to have the ability to score in different ways.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what the situation's going to be like. You might need 1 run in the 9th to win a game, and like your odds of a home run are not as good as a leadoff walk, a stolen base, a get them over, get them in situation. So the more ways you can score, the better. You know what I mean?
All right, awesome. So again, I want to just talk a little bit about just your time at Concordia because there's a lot of cool different conversations you can have with it. But I want to, before we get you out of here, I want to talk a little bit about Clarion. You just taken the job there. I want you to just talk a little bit about like your situation here now, and then you can even reflect on this past spring, what you're looking to do for the next coming years, and we kind of talk about that.
Yeah, so I got this position late in November. My wife and I were looking for something back closer to home in the East Coast where we can kind of put our roots in for a long time. And this job opened up. And so we applied, came out, toured the facility and things like that. And this conference in Division II is really well and highly regarded. Seton Hill and IUP and Millersville and Mercyhurst is going Division I, but they're always good. Westchester won the World Series a couple of years back, and East Stroudsburg. So we have a lot of top 25 programs. And my thing is I just want to compete. Like I love to compete at a really high level. You played for me, we're an all-star and things like that. And like I just love competition. So I saw it and I knew it was going to be an uphill battle with just some of the things in the past and resources. But when I met the athletic director and the assistant AD and people within the program, they were highly motivated and very supportive. So those things excited me. We're getting a brand new infield this year, a huge renovation by Dura Edge to completely wipe out the infield and rebuild it. We spent a lot of money on things that we needed with Rapsodos and eye pitches and just things to put us in positions to be competitive. This past year, in our first year. The previous year in conference, we won 4 games. This year, we won 9. Our OPS jumped by 100 points in conference. Our ERA was lower by a whole point in conference. We had a couple first teamers, had a lot of records broken and things like that. So we're excited to kind of take that next step and compete in our conference. And basically right now with recruiting, we're just looking for best available that can help us do that and want to compete at a high Division II level.
Yeah, 100%. And I try not to talk too much about coaches because I don't want to just seem like I say this about everyone. But if someone's listening to this and they're kind of looking for schools, like I can't think of a better coach to play for in terms of like developing, being able to compete, playing in that sorts. I know the summer I played for Caleb was one of the most fun summers of my life, just of competitive baseball, having fun, getting better. And then I want you said, I just saw on Twitter this morning, I reposted it, that you guys are looking for a position. So you want to talk about that real quickly?
Yeah, so we'll have a couple of grad assistants. One of them is filled, and then one of them is not. So we have a graduate assistant opportunity for someone, whether you just got done or whatever, but you will be in a grad program. We have a lot of different degree options within that. You'll have an office here. You'll have a stipend, reduced housing, full tuition waiver. It'll be very hands-on, and you're going to have a lot of responsibility. But it's something that if someone wants to get into high-level baseball and compete at a high level, like it's the job for you. So it's a 2-year commitment. You'll finish with your graduate degree, and I mean we'll get you a college job afterwards for sure if you want to stay in college athletics and you think it's for you. All of our GAs will end up with a college coaching position. So that's something we're excited about. And then so we're just looking for kind of the right team member with that.
Yeah, and then again, you guys can go to my Twitter, or I'll have Caleb's Twitter stuff in the description. But he has his email on there where you can reach out, send your resume, and if you're interested. Again, as a coach too, that's a great opportunity to learn from a dude that just knows how to build juggernaut offenses and is going to help build a program. I know 100%. Like I knew going in that it was going to be an uphill battle just because of the situation you walked into, but. Even talking to other people in the baseball world, they said there's probably no better guy to turn around a program and keep growing it and building it than you. But so I'm excited to see how they do. I'm obviously going to be keeping tabs on that for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Anyway, dude, we'll wrap it up there. Appreciate you joining the show. Again, I'll have Caleb's. He's a great Twitter follow, so I'll have his social media stuff in the description. And hopefully we'll have you on again, maybe after next season where you guys are breaking more records
for sure.
and improving.
All right, sounds good. Hey, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks, man.
All right, take care.